And that's why I call her AR-15.
Christmas, I give you scrap, the very next day, you boom, boom, boom.
That's the start of tonight's great debate with Angela Rye and Ken Cuccinelli. Good to have you both. Ken, help me with that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't revamp the system. I'm just saying it's not politically practical. I don't think they can agree on what time it is in Washington, let alone immigration on a comprehensive level. But the emergency declaration, I have this from legal counsel and sources at DHS, at CBP, at the White House. He could tap those pockets and have the Defense Department do more of what they're doing right now, building temporary places, helping with accommodations, helping pick up some of the world. Why not?
You're arguing we'll do more, and that's theoretically possible. I think the rollout here, though, you rattled off things that aren't included, but let's look at what is included, and that is completely changing the legal immigration system and securing the border, those two things. And has always been a mantra, fairly bipartisan, I would say, that you got to secure the border first before you do anything else. And though that's gotten less bipartisan over the years, and that's one element. And the other element is the structure of the legal, not illegal, the legal immigration system. I think it's perfectly reasonable to not throw in everything else you mentioned, to not include DACA, to not include these other things. I mean, you take on the pieces you can handle. And I think a key element, and I've heard the president say it a couple of times when I've been in discussions about this subject, is that they want to stake out what they're for in the legal system and not just have everybody arguing, I'm against this, I'm against that, but to stake out a positive position. I think this is a very constructive part of the discussion. If it doesn't happen before 2020, what they're essentially doing is forcing it into the election, whether it's for Republicans or Democrats.
That's fine, because there's nothing but opportunity, people, on this issue, because, Angela, there is an emergency right now. The irony that the president faked an emergency about the caravans and the drugs and the terror, but now you got these kids living on rocks and in the dirt because the good men and women who are trying to keep us safe on the border are desperate for more resources, and they're going to start debating a full-scale plan when they're not just going to provide emergency relief?
Well, and Chris, we've seen the president do this before, right? He will, develop this whole new elaborate scheme, a whole new red herring, a whole new way of addressing something when he doesn't know really where to start. That's what this is really about. He doesn't know how to solve this other problem. He's assigned Jared Kushner, who's known for, you can shake your head and that's fantastic, but the truth of the matter is simple. This bill, these border principles, these immigration principles, don't address diversity visas. They want to eliminate them completely. These border principles don't deal with DACA, which is also a crying shame and a crisis. This bill, or these principles, because there's still no bill, and they criticized AOC for doing the same thing, does not deal with the fact that when you look at the military, the fact that folks fight in the military for our safety, for our protection. The number of immigration applicants that have been accepted, who have been allowed to become citizens, have gone down more than 70%. There's nothing addressing that. All of these are crises. And here's our reality, Chris. The reality is the president is tapping more into the fear of this country, playing footsie with the Numbers USA folks who say that immigration makes our wages go down when really people can always increase wages. We have to be real about what's going on, and this is the same conversation we were having last night, and it's simple. You cannot develop policy absent people and compassion. It does not work. It results not just in hurt individuals, but also hurt families. They are now putting at a lower scale the idea of families being able to be brought in and admitted into this country because they already have a family member here. They are instead preferring people who are highly skilled labor. It's a huge problem because at the end of the day, what they're saying is you have to be amazingly brilliant. You probably have to be whiter. Diversity visas, again, are gone. And you can't even serve in the military. This is reminiscent to me of what happened before the civil rights movement really began. That's a problem.
So, Ken, how do you take those on?
Yeah, well, for starters, I hear a lot of complaining about what's not here. And with the exception of the last comment about flipping the proportion of legal migrants who are economically based, they have a job lined up, et cetera, with family based, is the only substantive complaint I'm really hearing here with what's in
You
the
weren't
bill.
listening.
I hear lots of you both complaining about a lot of things that aren't in the bill, but not a lot about what is in the bill. What's in the bill is are really all 70-30 proposals with the American people. And by the way, my expectation is that Numbers USA will not support this because it maintains the same number of legal immigrants today, after the bill passes, as we
There is no
have
bill.
today. And
These
that's
are
not
just
gonna pass.
principles.
From
Even the
that
senior
It's not gonna
officials,
pass.
as you know, Ken, I don't have to tell you this. They don't
Well,
have a
you
bill.
don't-
They just have
then
some
why are we
principles that
talking
they're
about it?
outlining.
Because no one else. Because this is the first administration that I can remember to put forward a coherent alternative to the current legal immigration system.
That's
in
not true. There was a
decades.
Senate
And
bill
they
that was
know they're
passed
gonna
under
take
the
back-
Obama
I didn't interrupt
administration.
you.
That's-
You just
But
shake
But
your
it's-
head. I didn't
it's
interrupt
just not
you.
true.
I'm
Well,
just going
but
to
okay,
keep
well,
talking.
then-
It isn't true, Ken,
And,
but go
and,
ahead.
Then
and the
this.
fact of the matter is, Barack Obama did nothing but talk about this and use it as a divisive issue, just like criminal justice reform.
You don't think the
President
president
Trump
uses it as a
actually
divisive
signed
issue?
criminal justice
It's not
reform.
real.
You don't. Hold on. I don't want to talk
Well,
about
he's
anything else.
now put a substantive. He's put a substantive proposal on the table, and he's going to take fire
The
from
senior
both
officials
sides
said
for
it is
but he's
light
willing
on
to do it
details. It's
to
just
advance it
operative
forward.
principles.
They
So
said
it's
they
not
were
a plan.
underwhelmed.
It's not a bill. He doesn't know how to do it. Here's my concern with it. I'm fine with him putting something forward. I'm fine with him having the debate.
If you
But-
really believe that, Chris, why are we bothering to talk about that?
But here's why.
Why are we bothering?
I'll tell you why. Because there's an emergency right now. And you guys lined up to help him fake rationalize what was the emergent situation, which wasn't the real one. And now you have it. And
Well, I
he
don't
could
know
use
who
his
you guys-
declaration.
who
Well, you
you
were on
guys
this
are.
show
The
plenty
Republicans.
saying that the drugs and the criminals are the real crisis. Look at the numbers. And I kept
And the
saying to you,
rapists.
but it doesn't come out in the numbers. The real threat are these kids and these people coming with them that we can't control. I went down there numerous times to show you people the reality of what it is. And he's not addressing that. And it's like putting forth a plan to fix the levees right after Katrina, when all the people are drowning in the water and need food and help. You're
Chris,
saying, let's fix the
long-term
levees.
solutions. The long-term solutions all have to come through Congress. They do. Whether it's money to do all the things you're
But
describing,
why
the
not
president
do what they're
can,
asking him to
can
do
reach
through the
certain
emergency
pools of money
declaration?
for the emergency declaration.
do it.
But that is short-term and band-aid solutions, and he's trying to put at least in the public discussion a long-term
with that.
solution and to rally
I'm fine with
support.
just doing
But that
both.
long-term solution doesn't address the detention issue, which is what Chris is talking about as the emergency.
You're right.
That's the whole point. Eliminating diversity visas is not an emergency. Dealing with the fact that people
Look,
are
folks-
low-skilled versus high-skilled and focusing on high-skilled is not an emergency. Making sure that veterans and current
He didn't
folks
say
who
it
are currently
was.
fighting in the military
That's true.
can't become citizens is not the emergency. It is a problem,
I'm
but
just
it
saying
is
you
not
should
the
deal with
emergency.
the emergency
and
and
by
put
the way,
everything
it's
else out
silent on
there.
that.
Everything else can be out there. I'm just saying there's an emergency. It's very real. I'm afraid kids are going to die. They don't have to. He's got this emergency declaration that I think is a Fugazi emergency declaration, but he's got it, and he's using it to just build the fencing. Use it to help them do these other things.
know,
I
what-
don't get why he won't. That's all.
But that's not.
Chris, one of the things
last
that's
thing
interesting
okay.
about this proposal is this would align America's immigration structure in terms of the proportions of people coming in, humanitarian, family,
Right.
and economic, with almost the entire rest of the world.
I'm okay
And
with
I've
having that
listened
discussion.
To
It's
the
just there's an
additional
emergency.
smearing of the
It's
president
not smearing.
because
I'm not
changing
smearing.
this is somehow.
I'm not smearing anything. I'm
I
saying
am.
I wasn't saying
there's an
you.
emergency, and
Yeah,
he's
she
not
is.
dealing with it, and I don't get it. I got to leave it there.
Right, she is Angela.
No,
But
no,
good
he's
night.
doing both at the same time.
No, he isn't.
Chris, this is walking and chewing gum.
He knows
you
better.
can do both
He
at
is
the same
not
time.
giving
walk
them.
or
Hold on.
chew gum.
Listen, any of that effort.
I don't have any more time to debate it, but there is no debate on this. You call the head of DHS and ask him if he's getting what he needs to deal with the overflow, Ken, and he's going to tell you no. And a lot of what he needs can be given
Right.
to him through the emergency declaration, and they're not doing it, and I don't know
They're
why.
getting more of all of it because of the emergency declaration.
No, they
and
are not.
enough because of Congress.
I disagree with that, but you take it up with him. He'll make a different case. Angela, Ken, thank you.
Christmas, I give